Frank Ocean's Coachella performance yesterday was absolutely kind of embarrassing, just kind of a mess for him and Coachella as a whole because everything was just kind of wrong. And Frank had some weird things go down. He had some stage production issues, I guess, but it was more on him because he made an ice rink and it was constructed and ready to go. He had a bunch of people that were going to be skating on it, and Coachella actually had to deconstruct the stage that he made and signed off on months beforehand, and then melt the ice rink and then change it to what Frank wanted with no warning. And then that had an hour-long delay, and people were already there on Sunday, and he just pulled the plug at the last second on this. And then also with the live stream, no one really knew what was going down with the live stream, and they say that Frank pulled the plug on that one as well last minute, and he just changed his mind. It's like, these things are fine, but you have to at least let your audience know beforehand so they know there's no live stream, so they know what's going down. And Frank didn't do that, and then just everything that went on with the performance was kind of just messed up. So, I don't know, it's just a really bad look on Frank himself because there's just no communication between him and the fans and the people who are actually paying money to see him perform. And this whole thing was just a mess. Here's a video that explains a lot.
Day 3 of Coachella is an absolute mess. Because Frank Ocean is performing live for the first time in 6 years, fans are fighting each other to get a chance to see him. As a matter of fact, when the Coachella gates opened up at noon, people began stampeding to the stage even though he wouldn't be performing for another 10 hours. And then there's people like this girl who have been camping out since the night before. And because Frank Ocean's performance is not being live streamed on YouTube, fans are desperate to be in the front row.
Because there's really no communication between Frank and his fans, these people lined up 13 hours in advance just to try and get a spot, like the best spot. And then he came out an hour late, and it just delayed these fans, trying to see him. And it just doesn't really look good for Frank when there's, really just no communication between him and his fans, at least telling them what's going to go on. And then the performance was really weird. He wasn't really singing any of the songs. If you look at this video right here. He's just kind of sitting down, and he's pulling the Kanye West effect where he just plays his music off a laptop and calls it a performance. And also there's some really weird things because he kind of made each of the songs like a weird dance, upbeat mix tempo, and it was super weird, but it kind of worked at the same time. But a lot of people don't want to see that, and a lot of people just left because they wanted to listen to Frank's actual music instead of these weird dance hip-hop remixes. And then you can see here just people consistently leaving. I mean, I just don't know what they thought they're getting themselves into with the Frank stuff, but I think it was also just because they weren't looking for the type of music that he was playing then. But this is during Nike's, a super popular song, and people are still extremely streaming out. And then similarly to Steve Lacy's concert, no one was basically singing any of the lyrics just because they were these offbeat, weird remixes or just chopped up mixes. And that kind of ruined, in my opinion, some of the fan experience because you want to sing the music back to him. I know Frank doesn't actually like to hear his fans sing the music because he just wants to put on a good performance. But at the same time, you should want the fans to actually, be able to sing the songs back to you. And then there's some other really weird things, like the security guard was just twerking on the stage for a couple minutes. I don't really know, but it was so weird because everything in the actual performance by Frank just didn't really seem like him and just seemed like he was kind of off or something. I don't really know what was going on, but everything here just didn't seem like a normal Frank performance. And a lot of people were saying that just because of his brother and he was kind of missing his brother because they used to go to Coachella together. But it is just weird in general that you go to Coachella to do this. And even if the grief is overtaking you, at least, communicate that to your fans or at least tell them something. And then just, not playing any of the songs is really the thing that was most disappointing to me because when you listen to Frank's music, you want to hear his voice. And you don't really want to just hear him or watch him lip syncing and just hear the actual song that you could have heard anywhere else. You can just hear it on Spotify, and you could have had a lot better experience even with that because you actually get to be in your own zone in that. And this you're like around a bunch of people listening to the same music that you can just listen to at home. And then the end of the show was really weird because it supposedly hit curfew, but I'm pretty sure the Coachella curfew is at like 1:30 and it got extended later. I don't know. It was just super weird because, he just left at one point and didn't really tell his fans anything, which is like, yeah, just communicate. Like literally that's all that the fans want, Frank, just for you to communicate. And then here basically all the things that he did wrong. He was an hour and a half late and everyone was standing in the cold and waiting and there's just a bunch of people around, and then he would just have super long and weird just like pauses throughout the thing, and they're just weird mixes of like the DJ in, and then he was bringing out people and they wouldn't really do anything at all, and then the whole stage and the setup was kind of weird and you couldn't see Frank at all. So it's like the whole point there is that you're there to see Frank, and the when you're actually there you can't see him at all. And just overall, like the whole point of going to Coachella and spending like $500-600 plus all the extra money on everything else there is to go and see Frank Ocean. Like a bunch of people spent thousands, if not like tens of thousands of dollars to go see Frank Ocean, and to have something that's so disappointing and not really what you expect when coming from Frank Ocean is just disappointing, because this is someone that people like I feel like had a super big hype of, and they thought he would come out and have this amazing performance or even just not show up, because a lot of people also thought that. So him actually showing up and putting in just something that isn't very good and just kind of going through the motions when getting paid $4 million to be a festival headliner is just kind of embarrassing, and especially with someone that doesn't put out music like Frank and is so critically acclaimed in that same way. It's just super weird to be the one time you ever come out and perform at a festival and you put in this really mediocre effort, even if you are going through a lot of grief with his brother and all that. It's not really something that I feel like you can make up to your fans anymore, because we don't even know if this guy is making music anymore or even will release any more music. So it's just one of those things where if this is the last time we ever hear Frank perform at all, I mean, I don't know if he's performing the second weekend, but if this is the last time we hear Frank, perform his songs ever again, it's just a really bad taste left in your mouth from anyone who was actually at this first weekend of the concert. And then even the people online, they're all watching this through TikTok or Instagram Live, and just like it's so embarrassing to have maybe your last concert ever or one of your last concerts ever just being such a bad and poorly executed thing, especially when you are like one of the most thought of as one of the greatest artists of our generation or of even all time.